Hi, everyone, and welcome back to My Bilingual Life, the podcast that helps you become bilingual one conversation at a time. I'm Laura, here in Austin, Texas, and I'm so happy you're joining us today.
And I'm Carl, coming to you from Houston, Texas. We're excited about today's topic, one that affects all of us every single day.
That's right. Today, we're talking about daily routines, what we do in the morning, during the day, in the evening, and even on weekends. This might sound simple, but routines can actually teach us a lot about balance, motivation, and self-care.
Exactly. When I first moved to Houston, my routine helped me adjust to a new place and a new language. I didn't know many people at first, and I was trying to get used to the rhythm of life here. Having a daily routine, even something small like making coffee or going for a walk, helped me feel grounded.
I love that, and I can totally relate. I used to think routines were boring, but over time, I realized that routines don't limit you. They give you freedom. Because when you have a plan, you don't have to waste energy deciding what to do next. You just do it. And that gives you more time for the things that really matter.
That's so true. A good routine can make you feel calmer, more focused, and even more confident. And when you're learning a language, routines are your best friend. If you study at the same time every day, even for 10 minutes, it becomes a habit, not a chore.
Yes, language learning fits perfectly into routines. You can listen to a podcast like this one while you get ready, while you drive, or while you cook dinner. That's what makes it easy. It becomes part of your daily life.
So, today, we're going to talk about our own daily routines, what mornings look like for us, what happens during the day, and how we unwind at night. We'll also talk about weekends, because let's be honest, our weekend routines look very different from our weekday ones.
Oh, yes, definitely. I think everyone's weekend has its own rhythm. For me, it's a mix of rest, catching up on chores, and doing something fun. Maybe going to the park with Pruno, my dog.
And for me, weekends are usually about cooking, relaxing, and sometimes calling my family back in Mexico. I try not to work or check emails too much, just disconnect a little.
Good plan. So, if you're listening right now, think about your own routine. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Do you have a morning ritual? Or maybe something special you do every evening? As you listen to today's episode, see if you can compare your routine with ours.
And if you're learning English, this is a great way to practice. You'll hear lots of useful daily words. Verbs like wake up, get dressed, go to work, eat breakfast, come home, relax, go to bed. These are everyday expressions that you can start using right away.
Exactly. The best vocabulary is the one you can use in real life. So take notes if you want, or just listen and repeat out loud when you can. Ready to get started?
Let's do it. Let's talk about the first and sometimes hardest part of the day, the morning routine.
Okay, let's talk about mornings. For me, mornings can go two ways: peaceful and productive, or completely chaotic. If I stick to my routine, it's peaceful. If I don't, everything feels rushed and stressful.
Oh, I understand that feeling. A good morning sets the tone for the entire day. So, what's your morning like, Laura?
Well, my day usually starts around 6:30. I try not to look at my phone right away, though I'll admit sometimes I fail. Instead, I take a few deep breaths, stretch, and remind myself of something I'm grateful for. That helps me wake up in a good mood.
That's a good idea. I should try that. I usually check my phone as soon as I open my eyes. Messages, emails, social media, and then suddenly 30 minutes are gone.
Exactly. That happens to me too. That's why I'm trying to change that habit. After I get out of bed, I open the curtains to let in some light, and then I take Bruno, my little dog, outside. He's always full of energy in the morning. He jumps around like it's the best day ever. And honestly, that energy is contagious.
I can imagine. I don't have a pet, so my mornings are quieter. But I do start my day with something I can't live without: coffee. The smell of fresh coffee makes me feel awake even before I drink it.
Oh, same here. I love coffee. I usually feed Bruno first, and then I make my coffee, black, no sugar. While it's brewing, I plan my day. Sometimes I write a short to-do list or check my calendar. That keeps me organized.
That's smart. I try to do something similar. While I drink my coffee, I listen to a short English or Spanish podcast, just 10 minutes. It helps me start the day with learning, and it puts my mind in motion.
That's such a good idea. I think that's what I love about podcasts. You can learn or feel inspired while you do something simple like making breakfast or brushing your teeth.
Exactly. After that, I take a shower and get dressed for work. I try to keep my mornings simple, no big decisions. I even choose my clothes the night before, so I don't waste time thinking, what should I wear today?
Yes, that's a game changer. Decision fatigue is real. The fewer choices you make in the morning, the smoother your day goes. I do the same. I keep my weekday clothes simple and comfortable.
And what do you usually eat for breakfast?
I usually have something light but filling, maybe toast with avocado, a boiled egg, or some fruit. If I'm in a hurry, I grab a granola bar. I've learned that skipping breakfast never helps. It just makes me tired and grumpy later.
Oh, totally. When I skip breakfast, I end up eating way too much at lunch. So now I always eat something, usually oatmeal or scrambled eggs. Sometimes I make a smoothie with banana, milk, and peanut butter. It's quick and gives me energy.
That sounds delicious. I like smoothies too. And it's funny, I've noticed that when I eat something healthy in the morning, I usually make better food choices all day. But when I start with junk food, it's hard to stop.
Yes, it's like the first meal sets the tone. That's true for other habits too. If I start my morning calmly, I feel focused all day. But if I rush, everything feels stressful.
I completely agree. That's why I try to give myself at least 30 quiet minutes before I start working. I walk Bruno, make my coffee, eat something, and maybe read a few pages of a book or journal for 5 minutes. Even a small routine makes a big difference.
That sounds like a peaceful start to the day. I think sometimes people believe they need a perfect morning routine, like waking up at 5 a.m., meditating, running, reading 10 pages, writing goals, and drinking green juice all before sunrise. But really, it's about what works for you.
Exactly. A good routine doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to make you feel ready for the day. Even something small like making your bed or opening the curtains can help your brain switch into daytime mode.
Yes, for me, one rule that really helps is do one thing at a time. No multitasking in the morning. I drink my coffee without looking at my phone. I take a shower without rushing. I eat breakfast without checking emails. When I do that, the whole day feels smoother.
I love that. Mindfulness, being present in the moment, even in simple things. And that's something we can all practice. It doesn't just make mornings better, it improves your whole mindset.
Agreed. So, let's think of some useful English phrases for talking about morning routines. Our listeners can use them to describe their own days.
Good idea. Here are a few. I wake up at 6:30. I get out of bed. I take a shower. I make coffee. I feed my dog. I get dressed and go to work.
Perfect. And you can add time expressions like before work, I walk my dog. After breakfast, I brush my teeth. Then I leave the house. These are great building blocks for everyday English.
Yes, and they're simple enough to practice out loud. For example, I wake up. I stretch. I brush my teeth. I make breakfast. You can even say it while doing your routine. That's a fun and effective way to learn.
That's a great tip. And I think when people start describing their own routines in English, they notice progress fast. It's real life vocabulary, something you use every single day.
Yes, and that's what My Bilingual Life is all about. Using language in your real daily life. Not just studying from a book, but actually living in English or Spanish.
Exactly. So now that we've covered mornings, let's move on to what happens next, the middle of the day. Because after the morning rush comes work, classes, and everything else we have to manage.
Oh, yes, the busiest part. Let's talk about what happens during the day, how we stay productive, take breaks, and keep our energy up.
All right, let's dive into the next part of the day, the daytime routine.
All right, so let's talk about the middle of the day, when most of us are working, studying, or running around trying to get things done. Honestly, this part of the day can be the hardest for me. The energy I have in the morning sometimes disappears by lunchtime.
Oh, yes, the famous afternoon slump. It happens to everyone. But I've learned that small habits during the day can make a big difference. For example, I try to take short breaks every couple of hours. Even standing up, stretching, or getting a glass of water helps me refocus.
That's a good strategy. When I'm teaching or working on lesson plans, I can spend hours sitting in front of the computer. So now I set a timer. Every 50 minutes, I stop and move for 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes I go outside for a quick walk with Bruno or just stand by the window and breathe. It sounds simple, but it really helps.
It does. Our brains need little breaks to stay sharp. When I'm working from home, I also try to change my scenery. If I've been sitting at my desk for too long, I move to the kitchen table or even a coffee shop. That small change gives me new energy.
Yes, environment matters. And another thing I've learned is that staying hydrated really affects my focus. If I forget to drink water, I start to feel tired or even grumpy without realizing why. So now I keep a big water bottle on my desk all day.
Same here. And I also make sure to have a real lunch break. When I first started working in Houston, I used to eat lunch at my desk while checking emails. But that never felt like a real break. Now I try to step away, even if it's just for 20 minutes. I sit down, eat slowly, and sometimes listen to a music or a short podcast.
That's something a lot of people struggle with, separating work from rest. Taking time to eat properly helps your brain reset. And speaking of food, what do you usually eat for lunch?
I usually bring something from home: rice, chicken, vegetables, maybe a salad. Sometimes I cook extra dinner the night before and bring the leftovers. It saves time and money.
That's smart. I do that too. And when I don't have time to cook, I make something simple like a sandwich or soup. I try to avoid fast food, but sometimes it happens, especially on busy days.
Of course, we all have those days, but even then, I try to balance it out with a walk or a short stretch. Movement keeps me from getting sleepy after lunch.
That's so true. After lunch, around 2 or 3 o'clock, I often start to feel tired. So I stand up, make another cup of coffee or tea, and do a few minutes of light movement. Maybe stretch my neck, shoulders, and back. It really helps me finish the day strong.
Same here. And sometimes, if I'm really struggling, I do something creative for 10 minutes. I write a few ideas, read something inspiring, or plan a new project. It gives my brain a break from routine tasks.
That's a great idea. For me, sometimes I take a moment to organize my desk. It's funny how cleaning a small space can make me feel productive again.
Yes, a clear space, a clear mind. And as the afternoon goes on, I like to plan ahead for the next day. Before I finish work, I write a quick list of what I need to do tomorrow. That way I don't go to bed worrying about it.
That's a great habit. I do something similar at school. Before I leave for the day, I check my notes, clean up my desk, and make sure everything's ready for the next class. It makes the next morning easier, and I feel more relaxed when I walk out the door.
Exactly. And it's not just about work, but also about taking care of yourself during the day. I try to look away from screens every hour. Even 30 seconds of looking out a window can rest your eyes.
I like that. And I've noticed that I feel better when I get a little sunshine during the day. Even 10 minutes outside helps. It's amazing how much energy natural light gives you.
That's true. Sometimes when I have a long day of meetings, I schedule 5 minutes to step outside, stretch, and take a few deep breaths. People laugh when I tell them I schedule breathing, but honestly, it works.
I love that. Scheduling time to breathe. I think it shows how intentional you are about your routine. And that's what we're really talking about today. Not just what you do, but how you do it.
Exactly. We all have things we have to do work, study, chores, errands. But if you can find small ways to make your day more peaceful and balanced, you start to enjoy it more.
That's so true. And for our listeners who are learning English, this is the perfect opportunity to practice describing your daily activities. Let's share some examples.
Sure, you can say, I start work at 9. I have lunch at noon. I take a break in the afternoon. I finish work at 5. Simple sentences like these help you talk about your day in English.
Exactly. And you can add more details as you get comfortable. For example, I have lunch with my coworkers. I walk around the block after lunch. I drink coffee in the afternoon. The more details you add, the more natural your English sounds.
That's right. And don't worry about being perfect. Even simple, short sentences are powerful. If you can describe your daily routine clearly, that's real communication.
Yes, and it's such a confidence booster when you can talk about your everyday life, because that's the English you'll actually use at work, in small talk, or when meeting new people.
Exactly. So, Laura, what's the last thing you do before you leave work or finish your main tasks of the day?
Hmm, I think it's checking my planner. I look at what I did, what I didn't finish, and what can wait until tomorrow. And then I make sure to pack my things and leave on time. That's something I've been working on, not staying too late.
Oh, yes, same here. It's easy to stay just a few more minutes, and then suddenly it's an hour later. But I've learned to protect my personal time. Once work hours are over, it's time to shift into relaxation mode.
Yes, that's where the evening routine begins, the part of the day where we unwind and recharge.
Exactly. So let's take a break here, and then we'll talk about how we end our days, how we relax, recharge, and get ready for tomorrow.
Okay, so now let's talk about the evening, my favorite part of the day. After a long day of work, I finally get to go home, change into comfortable clothes, and relax a little. Sometimes just taking off my shoes feels like a reward.
Yes, that's the best feeling. When I get home, I do the same thing. I change into soft clothes and wash my face. It's like telling my brain, okay, work is over, it's time to rest.
Exactly. And I think having a small after work ritual helps a lot. For example, when I drive home, I usually listen to calm music. Sometimes I even drive in silence, just thinking about the day. It helps me disconnect.
That's a great idea. For me, the drive home is my time to unwind. I live in Houston, so traffic can be bad, but I try not to stress about it. I listen to podcasts or audiobooks, sometimes in English, sometimes in Spanish. It turns something boring, like traffic, into something productive.
That's so smart. And when I finally get home, the first thing I do is take Bruno, my dog, outside. He's always waiting for me by the door, wagging his tail. It's his way of saying, finally, you're home. We walk around the neighborhood, and I use that time to move my body after sitting all day.
That sounds relaxing. I don't have a pet, but I like to go for a short walk too, especially when the weather's nice. Even 10 or 15 minutes outside helps clear my mind.
Yes, it's a nice transition from work mode to home mode. And when we get back, I usually start dinner. I try to keep it simple, something like pasta, tacos, or a stir fry. If I'm really tired, maybe just a salad or leftovers from the night before.
Same here. I like cooking but not washing dishes, so I try to make easy meals that don't use too many pots and pans. Sometimes I cook rice and vegetables or make soup. Cooking helps me relax, though. It's quiet, it smells good, and it feels like I'm taking care of myself.
That's exactly how I see it too. It's not just about eating, it's a small act of self care. And while I'm cooking, I often play music in the background, something calm, maybe jazz or acoustic guitar. Bruno sits nearby, hoping I drop something on the floor.
Dogs always do that. Once dinner's ready, do you eat alone or with someone?
Usually alone during the week. Sometimes I FaceTime my parents while I eat. They live a couple of hours away, so it's nice to talk to them and catch up. On weekends, I might eat with friends, but during the week, it's usually just me and Bruno.
That sounds cozy. For me, I usually eat while watching a show. Nothing serious, just something light and funny. It helps me forget about work for a while. Then I clean up, wash the dishes, and try not to leave a mess for the next morning.
Same here. I always try to tidy up before bed. It makes a big difference. Waking up to a clean kitchen feels peaceful.
Definitely. And after dinner, I like to have some quiet time. Sometimes I read a little, sometimes I study English or watch a YouTube video about something new. I don't use social media too much in the evening. It's too easy to lose track of time.
Yes, that's my biggest problem. If I scroll before bed, suddenly it's midnight. So now I have a rule. No phone 30 minutes before sleeping. Instead, I read a physical book or write in my journal. It helps me slow down.
That's a really healthy habit. I do something similar. I turn off most lights, play soft music, and review my day. Sometimes I think about 3 good things that happened. It's a simple way to end the day on a positive note.
I love that idea. Focusing on gratitude. It really changes your mindset. Even if the day was stressful, you can always find something small to appreciate. A good meal, a kind word, or a quiet moment.
Exactly. And I think these small habits make a big difference in our emotional health. Even saying, I did my best today, can help you sleep peacefully.
Yes, it's like giving yourself permission to rest. And speaking of rest, how do you usually prepare for bed?
I like to take a warm shower in the evening. It helps me relax my muscles and feel clean before bed. Then I make sure the room is dark and cool. That helps me fall asleep faster.
Me too. I take a shower, brush my teeth, and then get into bed with a book. Sometimes Bruno curls up at my feet. He falls asleep in seconds. I wish I could do that.
Me too. I take longer to fall asleep, so I sometimes listen to quiet instrumental music or nature sounds like rain or waves. It really helps calm my mind.
That's a great idea. And I think a lot of people could benefit from having a bedtime routine, something that tells your body it's time to rest. It doesn't have to be complicated. Even brushing your teeth, dimming the lights, and turning off screens can make a big difference.
Yes, your brain needs that signal. We often think rest is doing nothing, but it's actually an important part of a healthy routine. Without rest, the next morning is much harder.
So true. And I think it's a perfect reminder for our listeners. Your nighttime routine is just as important as your morning routine. One prepares you for the day, and the other helps you recover from it.
Exactly. And both help you build consistency, which is the secret to learning languages, working, or just feeling balanced.
That's right. When we build healthy routines, we create space for growth, both in language learning and in life.
So, now that we've talked about mornings, days, and evenings, there's only one thing left: the weekend.
Oh, yes, the best part of the week. Let's talk about what happens when the schedule changes and we finally get a little more freedom. All right, Carl, we've talked about our weekday routines, mornings, afternoons, and evenings. But now comes the fun part, weekends. My weekend routine looks completely different from my weekdays. I don't set an alarm, I eat breakfast a little later, and everything just moves slower.
Oh, same here. Weekends feel like hitting a reset button. I still like to have some structure, but it's much more flexible. For example, on Saturdays, I still wake up around 7:30, not too late, but I take my time. I make my coffee, maybe sit on my balcony and just enjoy the quiet.
That sounds peaceful. I usually sleep in a little longer, maybe until 8 or 8:30. Bruno still wakes me up early, of course, because he wants his breakfast and walk. But after that, I like to make a nice breakfast. Something special, like pancakes or breakfast tacos. It feels like a treat after a busy week.
Breakfast tacos. Now you're speaking my language. That's one of my favorite things about living in Texas. On weekends, I sometimes go to a local cafe or a Mexican restaurant and enjoy chilaquiles or huevos rancheros. It reminds me of home in Mexico.
That's awesome. Food can really connect us to our roots and make us feel grounded. For me, weekend mornings are also a time to catch up on things I didn't have time for during the week, like laundry, cleaning, or grocery shopping. It's not very exciting, but it helps me start the next week feeling ready.
Same here. I try to do chores in the morning so I can relax later. I usually put on music while I clean, so it feels more fun. Sometimes I listen to a Spanish playlist or an English podcast. It's a great way to practice while doing something routine.
That's a great tip for our listeners, too. You can practice English or Spanish while cooking, cleaning, or even driving. That's how language learning becomes part of your life. It's not something separate, it's something you live every day.
Exactly. Learning happens naturally when you connect it to your routine. I tell my students, don't just study English, live in English. Listen to songs, watch shows, talk to yourself in English about what you're doing. I'm washing the dishes, I'm folding clothes. It really helps.
Yes, and it's such a good confidence builder. I think that's why routines are so powerful. They give you small moments every day where you can practice consistency. Even if you only do a little bit each day, it adds up over time.
Absolutely. And that's true for more than language learning. It's true for life in general. Healthy routines give you balance. They help you stay calm, organized, and motivated.
And weekends are a great time to reset those routines. Sometimes I use Saturday or Sunday to plan for the next week. I look at my schedule, make a few goals, and think about what I want to improve. But I also make sure to rest, to do something fun that makes me happy.
That's important. Rest is productive too. If you never stop to recharge, you end up burning out. So I always save time for things I enjoy. Meeting friends, watching a movie, playing soccer, or just relaxing with a good book.
Yes, balance is everything. On Saturday evenings, sometimes I go out with friends, maybe dinner or a movie, but Sundays are usually quiet. I like to stay home, cook something simple, and take time to reflect. I'll write in my journal or think about what went well during the week.
That's a great habit. I think reflection is something people forget to do. We're always rushing to the next thing, but taking time to look back helps us see how much progress we've made.
Exactly. And when you reflect, you can adjust your routine. Maybe add something new that helps you feel better or remove something that's not working anymore. It's like tuning an instrument. Your routine needs regular adjustments to stay in harmony.
I love that metaphor. And that's really what this whole episode is about, finding rhythm in your life. Your daily routine is like your personal song. Some parts are slow, some fast, but when everything flows together, life feels smoother.
That's beautiful, Carl. And I think our listeners can take that idea with them. Your routine doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to work for you. Even small improvements like drinking more water, waking up 5 minutes earlier, or taking time to breathe can make a big difference.
Yes. And one more thing I want to add. Don't compare your routine to anyone else's. It's easy to watch videos or read articles about the perfect morning routine and feel like you're not doing enough. But everyone's life is different. The best routine is the one that helps you feel good and stay consistent.
Exactly. Progress, not perfection. That's something I remind myself all the time. Even if I don't follow my routine perfectly every day, it's okay. What matters is that I try again the next day.
That's such good advice. So, for our listeners, we want to hear from you. What does your daily routine look like? Do you have a morning ritual, a favorite lunch habit, or a special way to relax in the evening?
Yes, tell us in the comments. Write a few sentences in English to practice. You can start simple, like I wake up at 7, I eat breakfast at home, I go to work at 9. Or if you feel more confident, tell us what your weekends are like.
We'd love to read your routines and get to know more about your lives. It's a great way to practice and connect with our community.
Exactly. And remember, every little bit of practice helps. Even listening to this podcast is a step toward becoming bilingual.
That's right. And that's why our show is called My Bilingual Life. We want to help you build small, everyday habits that bring English and Spanish into your world.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We hope this episode inspired you to think about your own daily routine and maybe make a few positive changes.
Yes, and we'll be back soon with another episode to help you learn, laugh, and grow. Until then, keep practicing, keep improving, and keep building your bilingual life.
That's right. Have a great day, everyone, or a good night, depending on when you're listening. Take care and see you next time.
Bye, everyone.